All right, we all know that like 90% of all crime is committed by the same repeat offenders over and over and over, a small handful of jerks. Bring a trailer. The comment section is the same deal. We've got the same small group of toxic a-holes that are messing it up for everyone. We're going to make predictions. We're going to talk about those jerks. This is Bid Nerds. The bidding starts right now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube card game show. All right, welcome everybody. We are doing a live episode of Bid Nerds. My name is John Polnick. We're coming to you from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, as well as my partner way over on the far side of the screen. That's Michael Deeb. And in the middle, we have a special guest. Who do we got tonight there, Michael Deeb?
Please welcome to the show from Austin, Texas, Eric Goodkind of Goodkind Design. Folks, if you have a Ferrari that is in dire need of a 6-speed manual swap, you go buy the parts and Eric will make sure that your car runs like it left the factory, perhaps even a little bit better. Eric, thanks for joining us on the show, man. What's going on? How's Texas?
It's pretty good, man. I appreciate the offer to come on.
Absolutely. We're really lucky to have you on there, and we've got kind of some fun cars. We're going to pander to our host tonight, JP. This should be a good show. Plus, we have like 400 cars and just an hour to get through it, so there you go.
We do have a lot to cover. I got to do the thing. I mean, it's almost Christmas here, and it's not too late to get yourself some swag. That is, we have right now, we got merch, we got hats, we got t-shirts, we've got flasks, we've got everything to fill up the Christmas tree or the area underneath it. Go check out the link in our description below and get yourself some Christmas gifts. We are having a BOGO sale for you guys, so come on, Nerd Herd. I see you guys in the Nerd Herd. I want to see you guys. I want to see pictures of you guys and some shirts and some hats. Support the show. It's a good time. You guys will look great. Everyone's going to see you in your Bid Nerd swag and just think, wow, that's a swell fella. You know, chicks dig smart dressed women and men, and that will actually make sense later in the show. All right, you guys ready to get going?
Yep, let's do it.
Definitely.
Man.
All right, we always start off every episode. This is going to be weird for you, Eric. If you spend any time on the internet, that's the thing with the email. If you spend any time watching podcasts or listening to people on the internet, you know that it's very weird when people hold themselves accountable. And what we do on this show is we analyze listings on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, P-Car Market, sometimes other auction platforms. We make predictions based on that analysis, and we always start off every episode by holding ourselves accountable, going back and looking at the predictions that we made on the last episode and seeing how we did. So we will give you a chance to play along here, and Eric, see how you can make fun of us. What's the first car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, this is a car that might actually sort of be in Eric's wheelhouse. Feast your eyes, JP, on a 1980 Porsche 911 SC Targa. Eric, this car has basically been completely rebuilt from the ground up to look like one of the earlier mid-year Dutch police-style Targas that roamed the roads of the Netherlands back in period in the mid to late 70s and perhaps into the early 80s. Now, this car as an SC would have started life with a 3-liter, but as they went through the car and modified it, a family from the Netherlands having access to a lot of technically original police parts. I assume that has a lot to do with the horns and the siren and the megaphone on the back of the car, and then getting the decals just right. They decided to upgrade the car to a 3.2 and modify the suspension to go beyond just a European stance, but actually make the car handle really, really well. This car is entirely a ground-up restoration and looks resplendent in the Dutch police livery in the photos on Bring a Trailer, provided by the fine folks at 911R Avant-Garde up in Portland, Oregon. JP, this is really interesting. Does a car like this strike a chord with any European expat that's, you know, on the ground in the United States, and this reminds them of home? Or does this fall into the category where every other idiot's got, a Fast and the Furious or a Bullet replica or, name it, Herbie the Beetle? Does this wind up being like, your favorite movie car, and it becomes so polarizing, you don't have broad appeal, and thus it becomes actually very difficult to sell, despite this being an excellent restoration and essentially a brand new car. The attention to detail here, JP, is off the chart, but you have to wonder how wide a net you cast once you dress your car up like a police car from the Europe. So, JP, without further ado, our good friends over at Classic.com remind us that the average selling price of an SC Targa in the secondary market is currently around $55,000. JP, despite an expense well over $200,000 to build this car, I thought that narrow appeal might result in a bid of just $100,000, and I wasn't sure that it would sell for that, considering their expense paid, and it doesn't look like they've really put any miles on the car since the restoration. JP, you took the under by a couple of dollars. You were basically taking all the real estate underneath my bid at $99,911. And we had Robert Epley join us from OTS and Company over here in the East Bay. He was our third nerd, Eric, on the last show. He basically took the over and went to $102,500. So, Eric, you're in the business of modifying cars. Obviously, what you do is more on a mechanical and technical side. And oftentimes now we see Ferraris gaining value over the expense paid for the modification, which is pretty awesome to see. That's blue sky above a business like yours. But when you see somebody restore their car, but in a method that makes the car have a narrow appeal, it's the result is anyone's guess. So, Eric, what do you feel about the Dutch Police Targa replica on BAT? Great assets, great build, but perhaps narrow appeal. What's your feeling on the car? And give us a number that you think it hammered for just a couple of days ago.
I think it's an eclectic enough build that it would draw the right attention to someone who wants to be noticed. I would say out here in stateside, I think it would probably bring more than it would overseas or where it's from in the Netherlands, I think you said. But I mean, I think it'd be probably, I would say over 102, probably 115, 120, somewhere in that range. The Porsche crowd is very drawn to it.
You got to give us a number, though. You got to give us one number.
119.
119. And that's a good bid. And I think at 119, JP, this car might have had a chance to sell. Unfortunately, we were a lot closer to it. The car actually hammered, Eric, for $101,000, where unsurprisingly it failed to sell on just 21 bids. So the question I ask you, JP, you bring a car like this with a really reputable seller and great assets, and then in front of the entire world it falls flat on its face. Is a car like this burnt, or is it just so niche someday they'll find the guy that wants a Dutch police car in his garage and will pay $119 or more for the car to try and get this guy off of it? I kind of feel like it's burnt because this was a big listing on BAT, and it really didn't perform. I think it's kind of burnt. What's your sense of it, John? How do you unpack this result?
This is like, what is it, the 2014 Super Bowl when the Seahawks were first in inches with, I don't know, less than a minute to go with the greatest running back in the history of sports. And they, the offensive coordinator calls a pass, right? If that pass would have resulted in a touchdown, everyone would have been, wow, what a genius idea. That was great. You fooled them. You tricked them. Everybody thought you were going to run the ball, but you did a gadget or you did something cute and kitschy, and you're a hero and everyone pats you on your back. But what in fact happened was there was an interception and the Seahawks lost the Super Bowl and the worst loss in sports because of the worst play call in sports history. I feel like whoever thought this was a good idea, we're going to spend $200,000 to build this really cool replica of a car that only a handful of people know and think you're going to make money off of that. You are an idiot. I'm sorry. It's a beautiful car. It's really neat, but you need two guys in the room that want it. And I think you're going to have a hard time finding two guys in the room that even know the joke. What is this even supposed to be? Everybody knows what a Ghostbusters car is, but most people are like, why is there a horn on the back of that 911? All right, Eric, what do you think of the result?
I think they should be happy if it sold, or it didn't sell. So I mean, I think it'd be fair. I think it probably is gonna live in the eyes of the guy who built it as a wonderful car in his collection for the time frame.
That's right. Yeah, he's got.
Yeah, it shouldn't have ever been built unless it was for a person that wanted that and intended to keep it. Why did they think they were going to build this and sell it? All right, guys, that's enough about this. No more sports. It is the NFL season, so I was trying to help my partner Deeb, who loves the NFL. It's just dumb. All right, let's move on. Yeah, right. That's because they're better than San Francisco this year somehow. How did that happen? All right, let us know what you guys think of the results on this Targa, and let's move on. Let's see how we did on the next car. What do we got?
All right, JP, we're going to circle back to a listing that I did for the 1967 Porsche 912 out of Texas. I think this car was in Dallas. This is a short wheelbase car, JP, that was born in the very rare shade of Gulf Blue, GOLF in Porsche speak, not in literal translation, as I was schooled in the listing by an expert on German-English translation. Eric, this car was purchased in 1971 by a guy, I think he was in Oklahoma at the time, later moved to Texas. He has service records and parts documents that he's been purchasing for this car since 1972, all the way until 2025. Wow. A very good friend of mine bought the car, brought it to California, basically changed the hubcaps, put brand new hubcaps on it because that was the only thing on the car that he thought truly needed attention to look as good as it could so that we could really take a run at this car, put it on BAT, and see how far we could take it. JP, excellent records. I wound up taking your advice and doing a little tutorial video where I spoke in front of the camera, something JP's been encouraging me to do a teeny bit lately. So I did a little video with the records to try and, just convey how good and how meticulous the records were for mileage and parts and all that sort of stuff. Wound up having a really great listing. JP, our car, according to classic.com, a short wheelbase 912 is a $57,000 car in the secondary market. JP, of course, you had my back. You really liked the listing. We had really good photos from Kev, the photographer, and a very rare car and great documentation. We kind of hit all the boxes, and really good 912s could get to JP's number. That number was $110,912. And then Robert Epley from OTS and Company joined us as third nerd. He also had a high bid for the car, giving us $106,912 as his guess. So I recused myself from bidding. Eric, obviously, no joke, short wheelbase 911s at six figures, that's nothing common. But trying to get to that six-figure range with a really good 912 is no easy feat. What do you think of the car that's in front of you, and what would have been your bid on BAT just a few days ago?
You know, I think a car really has a story behind it, always will bring a little bit more. And the fact that it's a one owner, it's had service records, it's an awesome color. I think all of those attributes really bring it and hit it home in that. I mean, I could definitely see that hitting 105, 110, somewhere in that range. I mean, it's, again,
put one number on it.
The story sells the car. 105.
105, and you would be the closest. Our car did, in fact, JP, hammer for $100,000, and yours truly couldn't be happier about it. Same with the seller. 54 bids, JP. We had a really, really great auction. Thank you, JP, for letting us feature the car on the show, to the Nerd Herd and everybody who commented. I got tons of phone calls for people that wanted to come and test drive the car, more than any listing I've had, JP, in the last 3 years. I mean, like going all the way back to the Haggerty days, I've never had a car live and had so many people want to come and see it. So this car was received very well. We had great enthusiasm, and we got an absolutely outstanding result. I'm in full gratitude mode. JP, what do you make of that when you see a short wheelbase, rare color, super nice, but not, this is not like a 100-point car. Somebody who buys this car can still just go drive it and enjoy it. But you got a 912 bringing six figures. JP, you and I are just like kicking ourselves, right? Like, why didn't we buy 6 of these things a few years ago for 20 grand?
Well, I think I sold a 68 about less than a year ago for 40. Look, great job. Way to go. And also way to go to Tasso in the Nerd Herd. You guys are awesome. Tasso got a Yahtzee, so everybody give him a pat on the back. Reminder to everyone watching the show who bitches about me clicking through the photos too quickly. All the cars that we'll be talking about, are the links for them are in the description below. So go ahead and go in there and you can look at the pictures at your leisure. This just goes to show you that a car like this, compared to that Targa that we just talked about, that Targa cost someone $200,000 to build. It has 6 cylinders, has all the 911 things. Here's a little 912 with only 4 cylinders, and it brought $1,000 fewer than the Targa, but this car actually sold and everyone's happy, whereas that guy's got a big old frown on his face with the Targa. So just cars that have a wider appeal, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You're going to do better, and you should be thinking about that when you're considering cars that you want to sell out on the open market. All right, Eric, what do you think of this result?
I think it was probably perfect, right on the money.
Right?
Yeah.
I wish it was going into my garage, man. Eric, you'd look good in that
cars.
thing, right?
Blue is my favorite color.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, let us know
So,
what
JP,
you... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, all the 914s that we love are even the 4-bangers are all fuel injected. But this little 912 with only 1,600 cc's has these 2 big carburetors on either side of the engine bay. These cars sound so good. Yeah. I mean, after spending a lot of time with this car, I truly admit it. I get it. I get why these cars are so awesome, and they're so light and flickable. Man, I'm telling you, I want one. I just don't have $100,000 to buy this one. Wow.
Ben Sayan in the Nerd Herd says definite happy ending, and with that in mind, let's move on to the next car. What's next?
All right, JP, a lot of confessions here on this one. So a buddy of mine has a house in Vegas, really good friend. When I wound up having to move home to San Francisco during 2020, I would come back every month to go to JP's Cars and Coffee, and I would stay at this friend's house in Southern Highlands. So anyways, he calls me the other day, a couple months ago, and he's like, hey, man, you guys got to sell the Rover for me. I was like, absolutely. I said, just my partner will come by and pick it up. We'll shoot it. And if you let us run it no reserve, we'll get you all the money. Whatever it's worth, we'll just squeeze it out of it, And so JP's been driving the car, and it's a lovely car. He's like, Deeb, I'd love to see you buy this, but you're better off in the Cayenne that you own rather than risking it all for a sexy British SUV, even in this gorgeous color of Nara bronze metallic. So guy trusts me to run it no reserve. JP and I collaborate. JP takes these great photos down in the Arts District, get some really good urban shots with the graffiti and all the cool stuff in the background. So the car looks fantastic. But this car's had a gearbox replacement. It's from 2011. It's got almost 100,000 miles on it. It's still a used British luxury car, and that can be tough sledding. So I wake up this morning, JP, and our car is sitting at $6,100, and I'm making that dreaded phone call to my buddy going, I don't know what happened, but your car has been so scrutinized over the course of the week of this listing. I'm like, JP and I are in the Porsche business, and they're the most finicky buyers in the land. But the people who have commented on this listing are beating this poor car up for no good reason. And we're at $6,000, and I'm scared I'm not going to get him his money that we're insinuating he should expect to receive for the listing. I called JP in a cold sweat. He got me to do my breathing and calm down and dude, trust the process. It's going to work out. So thank you, JP, for holding my head over the toilet so I could vomit. But there we go. JP, our friends at classic.com tell us that the average selling price of one of those Mark III Range Rover, this one being an HSE with the normally aspirated 5-liter V8, is around $17,500. Our car is currently wearing aftermarket catalytic converters, which instantly make it ineligible to be road registered as it is in California, which in Vegas, that cuts off more than half of your potential market. The car also has a replacement gearbox with a used part. And as such, this car was not going to make it up to those levels of 17.5. I recused myself from bidding, but JP thought the car had a chance to get to 15. And Robert Epley from OTS and Company joined us as third nerd. His bid, $16,200. So, I got to ask you, Eric, any love for these old Range Rovers, or do you just like the vampire and the crucifix, and you're like, stay away. I know you're sexy, but I don't want to die. Like these can be a money pit, and we know that. But any love for an old Range Rover, and what do you think this car would have hammered for actually earlier today?
So I actually had a boss years ago that had one of these, and as you said, it was a money pit for her. I mean, it's a beautiful looking car. I think this color is either you love it or you hate it. The interior is seemingly in great shape. I mean, I think the right person in the room would probably get up to 16.5.
16.5 is a great bid, and certainly we wish you had bought the car. Our car, I was so scared this car wasn't going to make it to 10 grand because the comments were just scathing, and JP was even getting pissed, and I was just like waking my partner up for fucking no reason. Sorry for swearing. Our car just kept going. Two guys wound up bidding on it and kind of hammered it out. I finally hammered JP for $13,850 where it sold on 33 bids. And John and I, as the bid nerds, as a bid nerds listing, we're confident in saying we squeezed every drop out of that MFR that we could, and we feel like that's all the money. The guy who's the winning bidder is a gentleman on the East Coast, and he could not be more delighted than to have the car. For those who know JP's universe, the winning bidder had a handle called Chef Willie, but it was not Chef. It was not our Chef Willie. It's not JP's like really close friend Chef Willie, but a different Chef William from the East Coast, and he's thrilled to get the car. So JP, thank you, brother, for all the help and the great assets and to get that car where it needed to be. I have to admit, with all my confidence and positive vibes and trusting the process, I woke up this morning in a cold sweat, and so I'm thrilled we got basically 14 grand out of the Range Rover. Couldn't have done it without you, Putter.
The cheapest stuff always creates the most work. It's so much easier to sell $100,000 912 than it is a POS Range Rover. And it's not it's a really nice truck. It was lovely to drive, but you're absolutely right. We commenters, this is what we were talking about at the top of the show. These people are just ruining BAT. They just make it no fun. Some guy is like, can you go in there and look and see if get the date code on the air compressor under the spare tire? And I'm like,
what?
I thought he was asking for the external, like when you have a flat tire, some car like the Cayennes have a tire inflator. I'm like, what? I'll buy him a brand spanking new one at Shucks. What are you talking about? And what he meant was, so I'm out there at, I don't know what time this morning, but I'm pulling the cover off and I'm pulling this full-size goddamn spare out of the back of this stupid Rover, and my back still has a creak in it, and that thing's heavy. It's not one of those it's a full-size. I'm like pulling out trying to find the stupid thing, and there's this big cover, and it's bolted down. It's not like you need tools. You need a socket wrench. I'm like, what he meant is he wanted the date code for the air compressor for the air ride system. He didn't say that for the air compressor for the air ride. I'm like, what? And then he's like, oh yeah, you just need this size, socket wrench. I'm like, I'm not getting, no, I'm not getting a socket wrench out the day before. Could you have asked this a week ago? Maybe we could have arranged for someone.
Seriously.
I mean, these people are just out of their flipping mind. There was this guy, one of the commenters, King Fat Zib, I think is what his name was. And with less than 5 minutes to go, he's like, boy, keeping the California bidders out sure is hurting this auction. Also, those tranny issues are tough. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Shut up.
And he wasn't even a bidder. He's just an a-hole.
That's what my question is going to be. Did they bid?
Right, exactly. That's intuitive. Okay,
never.
If
you don't even have to ask. You don't even have to ask. It's guaranteed. You know what I mean?
This is what I said at the top of the show. A small handful of complete a-holes are causing all the problems. Just ban stick these jerks. If you get to the point where you've commented more than 500 times or 1,000 times over the course of your auction and you've never sold anything or bought anything, just get out of here. Just beat it. Go hang out on P-Car Market and bother them. All right, what do you guys think of the results of our Range Rover? I think my partner Michael Deeb did an exceptional job, and we're all patting ourselves on the back. That is definitely a happy ending for any auction. And if you are considering selling your car on BAT and you don't want to deal with all the hassle, have the bid nerds do it. We'll bitch about it on our show later, but we will get you the most money you possibly can. You can go to bidnerds.biz. The link is in the description below if you want to reach out to us to have us help you out.
Awesome website. A lot of the cars that JP and I have sold over the last handful of years are featured on the website. It is a beautiful layout. You might as well just go check it out. It'll be a good way to waste 20 minutes.
There it is. All right. We spent a lot of time on those. Let's try to rock through the rest of these results so we can get to some new predictions. I know Eric is raring to go. What's the next car on the list that we got to cover here? What do we got?
All right. Here's a Ferrari for you, Eric. Chris Carbine nominated this car, and it turns out the owner of the car is a friend of Lucas. The bid turns. Feast your eyes on a 1986 Ferrari Mondial 3.2 coupe in the very rare shade of blue medio. This gated 5-speed came from the factory and not from Eric's shop. The car has 69,600 miles, which let's say is pretty fair mileage for a Ferrari. The car is on a clean Maryland title, listed out of Rockville, Maryland, and the car was listed on Cars and Bids, Doug DeMiro's site. Now, closer inspection shows the interior was a little rough. It looks like the seller of the car did not pay for professional photography. These look very much like cell phone shots in a parking lot. And while the car might have been washed by hand in his driveway, the car was not professionally detailed in preparation for the marketing. And these are just a couple of small unforced errors. And maybe, JP, you can overcome one, but you can't overcome 2 or 3 or 4 with an old Ferrari on Cars and Bids right before Christmas. And so we wondered aloud where this car could land, having so many hurdles in the road to the sale. JP, our friends at Classic.com tell us that the Mondial, or the Mondial if you speak Italian, or French as it were, 3.2s bring about $46,000 in the secondary market. JP, I thought the car, given the challenge we outlined, would struggle to break 30 grand. Thus, I felt pessimistic at $29,328. JP, you took the under at 27 grand, and I thought Lucas would quit. And then Robert from OTS and Company split the difference between us at $28,000. So, Eric, any love for the Mondials? And what do you think the bid would be for this one in a cool color on Doug DeMiro's site?
Remember, this one does have a salvage title as well.
Oh, right. Sorry, Jesus. Yeah, there you go.
That definitely plays a factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had a Mondial at my shop a couple of days ago for some service work right before he went on the Texas Tejas Rally, which is a pretty cool thing.
Fun.
I love the color of this. I mean, the salvage title definitely hurts. You know, it definitely appears to be in rougher than nice shape at the moment. But, you know,
hey, Eric,
there's no such thing as a...
Eric, I wanted to give you a little bit more information, too, that my partner may not have missed. $20,000 in recent service. So
cool. Definitely a huge thing.
Bad.
I'd be more
bad
of
title,
afraid
but
of
lots
the
of service.
salvage title.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, given the salvage title, the service, you know, still a little rougher around the edges. Cool color. I'd probably have to be in, you know, $32,000 range.
Boom! And Eric almost got his first Yahtzee. Our car hammered for $32,250 where it sold on 28 bids. Lucas, despite our pessimism, I think that your friend got all the money he possibly could out of this car. I'm not sure, JP, given the challenges of the condition, the assets, and the title stuff, that this car would have brought any more money on BAT. JP, do you think there was any money left on the table at $32,250?
Oh, yeah. There's 10 grand left on the table. This is a really cool car. This is driver quality. I know it's got the bad title, but if this were a clean title car with that kind of service done, even with this condition, with the right assets, with pictures and videos on a better I'm not going to say necessarily a better platform, because I think Doug has done okay with some of these. I got to give it to DeMiro and the team over there at Cars and Bids for making sure that the seller had a reasonable expectation. The big surprise to me isn't so much that it, you know, only brought 30 something, low 30s. My worry was that they accepted a reserve number much higher than that, and this would just be a big waste of everyone's time. But apparently that's not the case. I suspect the reserve was probably 30 or 32 or maybe 34 or something like that, and they bridged
with
the
a
gap.
salvage title. It had to be 30 grand. I would think.
Right.
Can't go much higher.
The salvage definitely kills it. Yeah.
Great way to get into the sport. Great way to have an F car on these older cars. And I had mentioned in the last episode, the salvage was from a long time ago when these cars were worthless. So, it didn't seem like the damage. Anyways, whatever. You can go watch the last episode and find out more about it. Thanks for going over that one with us. Let us know what you guys think of the Mondial, and let's move on to the next car.
JP, speaking of modified car, P-Car Market featured a 1996 993 Carrera that had been, rebuilt motor, gutted the interior and put these like race seats in it, and then gave this car a full livery and photographed it in the snow. Our car is showing 160,000 miles, but does feature a rebuilt 3.6-liter motor and the aforementioned modifications and livery. Cool wheels, cool seats, cool stripes, the whole thing. Would a car like this, would that enhance the value, or would the car still be challenged by the mods and the odometer in this case? JP, our friends at Classic.com remind us that the average selling price of a 993 base C2 is about $94,000. I thought this car would not really have a chance to get into that range. My bid, $80,911. Your bid, $75,993. And Robert at OTS and Company joined us as third nerd, split the difference between us at $79,500. So what do you think of the livery, Eric? And really quickly give us a bid so we can jump into new predictions real soon here.
I for one actually love the livery. I'm not usually a big crazy livery person, but it's an iconic color combination with that.
Yeah.
I probably would have to be, it's eclectic to somebody. It probably would be 81, 82. Let's go with 82.
Okay, so Eric's the high man, and our car got really close. JP, you basically missed a Yahtzee by $7. I'll give you $7, and you can send yourself a cozy. Our car hammered for $76,000, where it's sold on 24 bids. Again, JP, I want to sort of echo the comment you paid the platform at Cars and Bids for having reasonable expectations, and P-Car Market miraculously did the same thing with the seller on this listing. This was a reserve auction, JP, and it sold on 24 bids in the natural auction, meaning both the seller and the platform, for perhaps the first time ever, had simultaneously matched up reasonable bids, and we have a car that sold on P-Car Market. Throw a parade. JP, what do you make of that result?
Yeah. I think it's great. Yeah. Look, we forgot to mention on the last car that looks like Randy B got a Yahtzee on that one. So shout out to everybody. Randy B getting it right. I like to, he's the most common nerd herd member that I cheat off his bid sometimes because he always nails it. Look, this livery could have gone really south. We were talking about that Targa at the top of the show, how specific that vehicle was made. And you are taking a risk when you're doing something this specific. But with the Targa, there was tons of money spent on that build. $200,000 build, and the car hammered at $101,000. Here's a vehicle where this livery really doesn't cost that much. There's a lot of cool mods on this car that are all performance mods, but all this livery does is add a little bit more excitement to a car that otherwise would have been passed over because of how many miles it had. So it is a fine line between making something custom and limiting the amount of people that would be interested in the car to the point where you have something like this where someone could go, oh, that's kind of neat. I'm going to look at it, but realize that this is all vinyl and maybe this whole, sensibility isn't to my taste, but the real mods, the shifter, the exhaust, the seats, the suspension, all the really cool bits are there. And if this is too racy for me, I can just peel the vinyl off and do something else and make it much more calm. That Targa, there's no way you can DF that Targa. That Targa is always going to be a police car.
It'll be a police car.
This is just a heat gun and a few hours in a dry place to peel all that stuff off, and you basically have yourself a red 993. Eric, what do you think of this result?
I think it worked out great. And like you said, if someone didn't want this livery, they could just peel it right off.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
Really simple.
All right, JP. All right. One more car, and I'm just going to go run through this, JP.
Sure.
Michael Simcock, Burnt Oil, picked this Volkswagen Thing. JP loves things, and earlier in the year, Eric, JP lost a deposit. Somebody catfished him out of a deposit on a thing. So as a ha-ha to JP, Simcock produced this 1974
is that what this
Volkswagen
was about?
Thing.
I never got that part. I didn't realize that this was a knock on me. I didn't realize that this was all to make fun of me. I didn't catch that part.
Salt in the wounds. Salt in the wounds. This car upgraded with a 2-liter. We really thought that JP might send this guy a deposit for his new Volkswagen Thing. On Cars and Bids and listed out of Prescott, Arizona. JP could literally have driven this car home. Our friends at Classic.com tell us that Things bring $17,000. I thought this one would hit 11. JP thought it would hit $14,999. And Robert at OTS went lower at $10,500. Eric, I'm just going to jump to the result. Our car hammered for $13,200 at a no sale, but they made a deal right after the car selling at $14,000 on cars and bids on 44 bids, essentially. So JP, 14 grand for the Thing with an upgraded 2-liter. It seems like a really good value, and you could, make this car look a little cooler with some seats and a steering wheel and some wheels. Anything to glean from that, or should we just jump into the commercials?
Yeah. I mean, just if you're looking at one of these, it's just the Mexican ones don't bring as much as the American ones. They were only brought in for 73 and 74.
Oh, right.
Eric, any quick word on these? Do you know anything about Thing?
Not too much. I mean, I love the orange. That's cool.
Kind of fun, right? All right. Everybody stick around. We are not going anywhere. Looks like, Dana K got a Yahtzee. Lots of Yahtzees on the show tonight.
Damn!
Holy cow. 13-2. Dana K.
Christmas Yahtzees. It's
what
Christmas
is going
Yahtzee
on?
season.
Out of cozies. Jeez, what? I need a whole stack of these things. Okay. Yahtzee alert. Did I get the thing in there? Let's go to commercial. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if bid nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair.
Hey guys, do you work with your hands all the time like I do? Does your wrist hurt all the time too? You might have carpal tunnel, but here's the good news. The Wrist Doctor of Nevada can make your wrist pain go away for good. Why suffer from carpal tunnel when the experts at the Wrist Doctor Nevada can make the pain go away immediately? In just one 5-minute procedure, you can in most cases return to using your hand the next day. Using the latest in advanced patented medical technology plus decades of experience, the Wrist Doctor can make your wrist pain go away for good, like you never even had carpal tunnel.
All right, we are back. Who's the puppy over there, Eric? Who's that?
This is my dog Nash. He was sleeping a minute ago, but he just climbed up here.
Oh, I don't know.
Gorgeous.
If
is that a blue pit?
He's a silver lab, actually.
Oh, so cute.
Very, very
We're all
awesome.
dog people.
We love the dogs on the Bid Nerds. Hey, look, I don't know. We know that Eric is drinking a whole bunch of vodka over there. He's got like a huge, he was like with a straw. It was crazy how drunk he's getting on the show. You should mix that with some Hippie Sips, Eric. I think THC is legal in Texas and Austin. Is that right? I'm not even sure.
I believe decriminalized. But still
illegal. You can still get yourself. If you're in Texas, you can go to hippiesips.com and order yourself a case of Hippie Sips. This stuff is really good. They're redefining social drinking with cannabis-infused organic beverages, bringing health to the party with flavorful drinks you can feel good about. Check out hippiesips.com and get yourself a case. See if it's legal in your state. The stuff is actually really good, Eric. You'll get the most. All right. Awesome. Let's get after it, guys. We've got predictions to make. This is the best part of the show. Let's see. Your Nerd Herd member is asking if dogs are even allowed to bid on cars. I think they should be.
Absolutely.
I think we should get rid of all those toxic a-holes that are commenting all the time and making stupid comments. I'd rather have more dogs and fewer of those a-holes. All right, let's get after it. What's the first car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, we have, and Lucas, by the way, some of the 4 of the cars tonight on the show were selected by Lucas. So as you love all the cars that were picked for tonight's show, make sure you go in the comments and compliment Lucas on his selection of cars. He said right before the show he would never do it again, and I don't know what happened. I love it when Lucas picks cars. They're always really cool. JP, feast your eyes on this bright red 1994 Porsche 911 Speedster. This is a 964 generation of the Speedster. And JP, every time I look at this car, I think a Jaeger for some reason. You know what I mean? It just really reminds me of his car in that beautiful red color. Our car is a premium listing on Bring a Trailer and is running as also an alumni listing, having run previously back in February of 2023. JP, you might remember everybody and their brother was spending money in the early parts of 2023. At that time, this car ran with 36,000 miles on the odometer out of La Jolla, California, and it sold for $185,000, which seems like a very fair market value for a car with considerable, like fair mileage at 36,000 miles. A lot of Speedsters wind up being show cars, JP, and they don't get driven, and those cars can bring over 200 grand. But I think at 36,000 miles, 185, I think that's a very fair result. The car comes back to market now, JP, out of Carson, California. I'm not sure. It's hard to pick on other people when we do the show, but this is what we do. These assets, they're kind of subpar to me, John. They're honest and they're fair, but I just feel like you've got this really cool car and just a little more vision. You could have made a much bigger splash and presentation with, let's face it, one of the coolest 964 models they ever made, and 964s are bringing stupid money these days. Car comes back to market now with 38,000 miles. And JP, the thing is going to hammer tomorrow. One of just 427 that were imported for the U.S. market between 1992 and 1994. This is a very rare model in the U.S., but I just feel like the presentation, JP, is kind of easy to skip over. I don't know. What do you make of this? Are you feeling what I'm feeling, or what?
Well, I mean, red should be grabbing a whole lot of attention, but instead, in the comment section on this poor listing is just a slew of dipshittery. I mean, the toxic comments on this particular listing have gotten way out of hand. There's only like 22 comments on this listing, and half of them are squabbling between people in the community. Apparently, there's a guy, Hoppy18, I believe, is the member. This is one of those people that we were talking about at the top of the show. There's a small handful of toxic morons in the community. They're really ruining the space for a lot of people. This jerk, you get a load of this, Eric. This guy has 6,239 comments. He has been a member of BAT since May of 2021. He has exactly 0 listings and 0 bids. This guy is worthless. Why is this idiot allowed on the space? And him and another guy that's notorious for doing a lot of bidding or not bidding, but commenting, but very little bidding. We're squabbling back and forth, and they're talking to each other about it. And it's just like, guys, shut up. Take it in another room. A bunch of the comments were flagged for not being constructive. It's just like a total dumpster fire. And it really is a disservice to this beautiful car. And the seller who's trying to sell his nice car, he could have done a better job. I'm with you, Deeb. I don't think the assets are awful, but they certainly could have done a better job. Way too much red from the factory. That's just the way these
should have hired the bid nerds.
Yeah, bid nerds could have definitely brought more money. If I owned this car, I would pull that gear shift knob and the handbrake and the wheels and just put, black shifter, black handbrake, silver Cup 1 wheels, and call it good, and just save the original stuff in a box somewhere for some PCA member that wants.
I don't like the dash thing, JP. That
you can't get it off. You can't. It's so hard to remove that. Yeah, because that's part of the steel that sits.
Yeah, I got you.
You might be able to get a cover over it or something like that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But luckily the wheels and the handbrake and the shifter are very easy to replace, and you're not going to damage anything, and be very easy to put it back to original if you wanted to. Go ahead,
JP. Before we run it over to Eric, I want to ask you a question, JP, because I've got a hunch these cars in the U.S. only came with the U.S. seats, and these are like the aftermarket RS seats from Europe. Somebody bought a pair and put them in there, or were they
the other way around? Most of it. I don't know of any that didn't come with the hardback seats. I know you had your buddy Sebastian had that one that had sports seats in it or whatever.
Regular seats,
but that's not. These are supposed to come with the pole positions. His was the only one I've ever seen that didn't have those seats.
I didn't think they were ever homologated for the U.S. market, so that's really cool.
I remember the first time ever seeing one of these cars when they were new, sitting in the darn thing in the dealership at Barrier Porsche in Bellevue, Washington, in 1994. Going, what are these seats? I'd never experienced a pole position seat before. All right, enough. Eric, what do you think of the Speedster? And don't give us a bid yet. We'll give you the last bid. What do you think of this particular car? And anything stand out about the listing?
I definitely love it. I mean, I agree with you on the tone it down with the red wheels and the center console pieces. I mean, it's a bit much. I would probably go exactly like you said, some silver wheels and just black interior pieces. But otherwise, I love the car. I love what it is presented as. I kind of agree. Some different optics in the photography would definitely make it pop better.
Yeah, it's nice to see that they've got a nice ride height too. Looks like they lowered it down to Euro height. I mean, I know that
it's a good-looking car.
Most of the American ones look like 4x4s from the factory. So, all right, Deeb, what's this thing going to bring?
All right, JP. So there is a certificate of authenticity that accompanies the car, and that's really cool to see, how this car was born. Really cool, very collectible car, JP. Love it or hate it with all the red. I agree with Eric. I agree with JP. I would definitely want to tone it down. I would do whatever I could to cover that dash too, because as the driver, you have to interface with that thing at all times. And the last thing I need is to see red every time I'm driving my effing Porsche. I drive like an idiot anyways. JP, our friends at Classic.com remind us that the 964 generation of the Speedsters typically bring around $180,000 in the secondary market. With 2,000 miles less on the odometer about 2.5 years ago, this car sold for $185,000. Comes back to market now with 38,000 miles, JP. And before it hammers tomorrow, it's worth noting that the car is currently sitting at $151,000. That comes to us by way of 14 bids. Decent activity in the pot, but a lack of engagement is not good for your listing. One of the great things that the bid nerds do when we represent cars for everybody else, we push the car on social media. We push the marketing for the car. We elicit engagement through the listing, because the more you got people talking on your listing, the greater this sort of subversive sense of urgency is created for all of your underbidders. And that is how you get a happy ending for every auction. And that does not seem to be happening here. That being said, this guy might overcome all of this just by dumb luck, because, again, JP, it's a 964 Speedster. Go get me another one. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's just only so many of these things to go around, and 964s have been having not a moment, JP, but a goddamn decade or more. And these cars are so hot. So, John, initially I put my bid, I think I was pretty tempered, coming in on this car at $168,964. I'm going to add 10 grand to that. I'm going to go 178,964 and leave it there for you to either go over or under. It's entirely possible he gets to 185, and I'm not saying they don't deserve it. I'd just say the car will carry them there. I don't think the marketing or the engagement has done this car justice, and I'm going to hedge against that by saying it doesn't replicate the result it got last time. The other thing, JP, I know we see really good examples selling at this time of the year, but man, we keep getting, every hour we're getting closer to Christmas, and I just think these cars become a teeny bit harder to sell the closer we get to the end of the year. So I'm hedging my bet, 178,964 to you, JP. What's your bid?
I think it's buying season. People really like the idea of buying stuff like this before the end of the year. There are tax implications for some of that, depending on how you play your game. This particular car, I don't think it's going to make any money, but at the same time, I think it's going to be about the same as last time, in the sense that with inflation, I'm going to say 193,964. And I hope it sells for that. I want this car.
Yeah. He'll be happy if he gets that.
What needs to happen is let's get. Can we get 100,000 of you guys, or not even that much? I don't know. Call it 50 or 60,000 of you guys to go buy T-shirts. Go buy a Bid Nerds T-shirt tonight, and I'll make sure that this thing goes for 200 grand.
We're gonna need more cotton.
Yeah, that's right. We got it. Eric, what do you think this thing will go for?
I think I'll probably be somewhere in the middle of like 186. I think the weather, the season, it's all happening not in the convertible's favor at the moment for it.
Boom.
All right. Eric is like my partner who think that weather matters at all when it comes to classic cars. If you're like him, let us know in the comments. Santa Claus wants this car. Santa doesn't have a top on his sled. He's not going, nope. Oh, I can't deliver the toys because it's
definitely the right color,
and I don't have a roof. Come on, guys. All right. Yeah. All right. We got a lot of cars to cover and not much time. What do we got next? Let's rip it along here. What do we got?
All right, we're jumping over to JP's brand new favorite platform, DuPont Registry. Lucas wanted to make sure we had a car teed up for Eric. Feast your eyes, JP, on a Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradale. This is a one-year only car in 2004. Ferrari only made 1,300 of these things, whereas they made almost 2,500 or almost 1,700, 1,800 Scuderias and Speciales and all the other cars that came after it. When you look back on all the limited run cars that were the V8 mid-engines, the Challenge Stradale will always hold their own because they were kind of the first one in the U.S. But these cars only came with this single sequential manual gearbox with flappy paddles. This car was never offered in a manual. Our car on DuPont registry is now showing just 16,489 miles and has already been treated to a 6-speed manual swap. JP, a couple things about this car. It's black on the outside. The cars with the painted stripes from the factory from when the car was ordered are worth more money. They are a quantifiable value add in the secondary market. The stripes on our car are just decals. This car has also been treated to a re-suede of parts of the interior. The lower dash and the race seats are now covered in a blue suede that did not come from Ferrari. So now we have 3 modifications. Obviously, the decal is not a big deal, but the seats have been re-sueded and the car has been treated to a 6-speed manual. The big question here will be, what will this car like? Will the car bring more money or the same money or less money than if the car had been left alone? And then the other thing, JP, that would be really interesting to know is, what does it cost? Like, what does it cost to invest in a 6-speed manual swap if only we had an expert that knew how to do that and could coach somebody through it? Eric, your thoughts on the 6-speed manual swap 360 Challenge Stradale? I'm sure you've done a handful of these already. Roughly what does it cost, and roughly what would be your expectations for the car now that swap has been made?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know the guys that did the swap on this car. They're a shop up in New York City, or just northern New York, Universal Auto. From my understanding, they used factory parts on this car as well. The factory conversion parts are basically unobtainable nowadays. They definitely hold a little bit of prevalence in the value of it. It definitely brings something to the table for this special car. I personally love the interior. I wish more people gravitated towards, making it better at the end of the day. We're already talking the conversion. That definitely gives the driving experience, a drastic change. If you've ever driven an F1 car, they're kind of outdated by today's standards, and this totally brings new life into the platform. Ultimately, the conversions, on this challenge cars, especially with that specific center console for it, you're looking at low 40s to mid 50s to do the conversion. Car's extremely well disassembled, so a lot of extra maintenance can be performed, that while you're in there effect. But ultimately, these cars are hot, and they're only climbing in values left and right. I think the mods that have been done to this, are not overly done. I think they're beautifully tasteful, and these cars have been exchanging crazy numbers as of lately. If I had to put something on this car now, I'd probably be in the
not yet. We'll give you last bid.
Yeah, you'll give you last. Okay. Next, yeah. JP, what do you think? Black Challenge Stradale with a 6-speed manual. I mean, this is so on brand right now. These cars are hot. Like Eric said, Challenge Stradales have gone up and have gone down, and now they're up again. And this one's got the box I would think most people, if they were going to intend to drive it, would want. What do you think, JP?
Well, I just have a question for Eric. One thing that someone brought up, I can't remember which guest we had on the show fairly recently, but they mentioned that sometimes these cars that weren't meant to have a manual, when given one, they disappoint sometimes. Sometimes they're a little difficult it just doesn't work as well as you would think it would. And is that because you'd mentioned that this one has factory parts, but there are other options that don't use factory parts? How do you do this without factory parts? Like, how do you do a swap when you don't have the gear from Ferrari or wherever the car was built?
Definitely great question. With everything in life, there's varying degrees of quality. There are certain kits that are better than others in the aftermarket realm. At the end of the day, the more OEM-like, the better. This car, while it never was offered in manual, the 360 itself was. And, those parts align perfectly in that equation. And, it's, in some cars that weren't available in the gated form, I could definitely agree, kind of hodgepodge together, if you will. But, especially factory parts on a car like this, it's astronomically an improvement in my mind.
Love it. It certainly seems like it would be. I mean, on paper, it makes all the sense. Deeb, what's this thing going to bring? And are these bringing, it seems to me like we've seen some results on some of these swapped cars are bringing almost as much as factory ones. And there is no factory one in this. So what's this one going to bring, Deeb?
All right, JP. So our friends at Classic.com wanted us to know that the average selling price of one of the 1,300 2004 Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradales is a whopping $331,000. JP, at one point you could have bought a car like this for like 180 grand, which was very inexpensive for the model. But John, here's where it gets really interesting. Our car still has days to go. In fact, we might not even be able to cover this. I think this car closes next Monday. So we've got, 4 or 5 days to go. It's already got 28 bids, and it's already sitting at $325,000 with the manual, with the leather, with the stickers. JP, I'm just reading the tea leaves here. I'm going to say $360,000 at Hammer, and I'm fairly certain this guy will take that money if that's what the pot yields when this car closes next Monday. So, JP, we're at $325, and we got days to go. 28 bids, good action. It's on the new DuPont website. My bid, $360 to you. Where are you at?
Well, you're cheating off Randy B, who is the Yahtzee king. So I'm gonna actually go higher than that. I'm gonna go 370, 360, because I think these are really hot. And I also think that this platform sucks. But I think that this is one of those situations, because this platform is trying to make a name for themselves. I think this is one of the situations where this car is already sold. I think they have someone in the wings ready to go, and they're just like, all right, look, we're going to sell it to you, but just pretend like you're bidding. Okay. This is a bunch of nonsense. I don't believe, I'm not buying it. I just don't buy it. I think the car's great, but I think the platform is shit. All right, what do you think, Eric? This is you. You're the guy. You're the one that would know.
Yeah, where we
a lot of responsibility. I honestly think we're going to be probably on the higher side. I'm pushing 395.
All right.
Oh wow, there you go.
I was thinking of going that high. All right, I should have.
Eric's talking low miles, a good swap. He didn't bash it. If it was subpar, he would have let us know. And he's saying 400 for a swap 360 Challenge Stradale. That's awesome, man. That's great money. I think more of these are going to happen. And if that's the case, I would think more people are going to be running to Eric's shop to get theirs done. And why wouldn't you, man? It's already a great driving car, and you're just enhancing it with the 6-speed manual. I mean, it's a Getrag box, right? That 6-speed is a Getrag transmission. Is that fair to say?
It's actually a Graziano box. So it's basically the parts that come off, where we just remove all the hydraulic components and basically bolt on mechanical linkage. So,
all right, guys.
It's actually a very easy swap. Just labor intensive.
Good information. We are in speed round mode. My partner never listens to me when I tell him that we're in speed round mode, but we are in speed round mode. We got no time, and we got 3 cars to hit. So hit me. Go, Deeb. Boom.
All right, JP, 5,000-mile 2001 Acura NSX-T as a no-reserve alumni listing on Bring a Trailer. This car transactioned a little while ago, back in October of 2025, for a pretty decent number. But when the winning bidder, who was supposed to pay $220,000 for this car, went down to the dealership, he wound up buying a way more expensive car from that dealer. So this car is coming back for a second bite of the apple. JP, with 5,000 miles on the odometer, our car is currently sitting at $175,000 in the pot, and it closes in just a day or two from now. JP, our friends at Classic.com tell us that these NSX-Ts are $143,000, but this is super low mileage, and it's a black leather interior. I think it's going to ring the bell at $211,000. JP, we're at $175,000. We have 2 days to go. $211,000 is my bid to you. Where are you at?
It's the McDonald's spec NSX. It's buying season. I don't think Christmas season hurts us. I think it helps it. It's the end of the year. I'm going $250 and handing it off to Eric. What do you think?
I think I'm going to come right in the middle at $232.
Wow,
good number.
Beautiful
Good
color.
number.
It's low mileage.
Yeah.
I think checks all the boxes.
And it comes with a Happy Meal. All right. What's the next car? Real quick.
JP, pass the mustard. Okay, Billy Gibbons. You boomers, you guys know that's ZZ Top. He used to own this Porsche 356 style Speedster Custom. JP, I don't know too much about these, but it's a celebrity-owned car, and it's got a wide-body kit, which is very uncommon on these types of cars. It looks pretty radical. JP, Classic does have a spot for 356 style builds. It's 40 grand. This car is currently sitting at 20, and it closes tomorrow. I don't think it'll get to 40, but I do think it'll get to 35. JP, we're at 20. 35 is my bid to you. What do you like about this one, and what's your number?
The replica Speedsters in wide body configuration usually struggle to get more than 20. This one being a ZZ Top car, I guess, is bringing a little bit more money already if it's sitting at 20 now. It's a very old build. I think this thing was built in the 80s. That's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, and it's just, I think it looks terrible, but I don't know. ZZ Top, sharp dressed man. What was your number? 35? I'm going.
Yeah, I went high. I don't know.
29,999 handed off to Eric. What do you think?
I was actually going to go 29 something, so I'll go a little lower and make it 29.2.
Making it tough
It's
on
celebrity
you.
owned.
Yeah,
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what that
supposedly
feels
it does
JP.
come with afterburner cassette stuck in the cassette player. All
Yes,
right, what's
of
the last car on the list? What do we got?
All right, Chris Carbine is selling a, what is this? Give me the thing. 2008 Mercedes-Benz E63 AMG sedan. This particular car has had its head bolts replaced. That's the normally aspirated 6.2-liter V8, JP. These cars sound awesome. They've got tons of power and tons of torque. This car only has 41,000 miles, looks awesome in black on black. Carbine's been killing it on cars and bids down there in New Orleans, Louisiana. JP, our car closes in a couple of days from now. Our friends at Classic.com tell us that this generation of the E63 typically bring, believe it or not, just $21,000. Our car is already at 19. I think it's going to go blow right by that number. And because it's Carbine's name associated with it, JP, I think this car is going to ring the bell for $28,000. What is your bid?
I'm surprised Chris is selling this thing. I think he bought it because he wanted to be like Sahan when he came out to Auto Fest a couple of years ago. And the Sahan spec E63 was something else. Boy, that thing was noisy.
Yeah.
Or C63, sorry, whatever. Anyways, this car is pretty darn nice, and I think it's the buying season. I think this car makes 30. Eric, what do you think?
I love these. My dad actually has a station wagon E63, so I mean, definitely near and dear to my heart. I love it. Probably going to have to go 34.
Very good. There we go. Big bid.
Number.
Carbine loves you.
If it were square and boxy and had a G on it, it would be 100 grand. It's amazing how, the same damn car in a different shape, and it's half the price. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Nerd Herd, you got to go and get yourself a shirt and some hats. I need to buy that Speedster. It's a BOGO sale. Get yourself some gifts. All right, and thanks for hanging out with us. Eric, thank you so much. How can people find you?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, where can people
I'm
find
on
your
Instagram.
channel?
Yeah, definitely. I do a lot of videos and documentation on my Instagram. It's converted_4RE. My website is goodkinddesigns.com, and we do local service work and conversions.
Thank you, Eric. You were a great guest, man. Happy New Year.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Likewise.
We
Take
will
care, guys.
see you Sunday night? See y'all Sunday night. Bye.